The dramatic monologue is part drama, part poetry. It is a speech in the poetic medium with a dominant dramatic note. The very fact of its being a speech with someone to hear it lends it a dramatic color. But it is dramatic in other ways too. It could be recited on the stage before an audience, with or without costume and scenic background. Moreover, it is a study in character, which is one of the main functions of drama. But it differs from the drama in its complete lack of action and interchange of speech. It quotes comparison with the soliloquy in which an actor on the stage similarly unburdens his soul, but it is actually quite different because it is addressed to a passive listener, whose reaction to what is being said is hinted at now and then by the speaker. The soliloquy is an actor's private thoughts, uttered aloud in order to acquaint the audience with what is passing in his mind. They would not be translated into speech if the dramatist had some other method of communicating them to the audience. The soliloquy is not supposed to be heard. The dramatic monologue is. The dramatic monologue uh, found particular favor with Robert Browning, who may be called its chief exponent, though Tennyson also used it with masterly skill in Ulysses and other poems. It is cast in the form of a speech addressed to a silent listener. Its aim is character study or psychoanalysis without the other dramatic adjuncts of incident and dialogue. The person who speaks is made to reveal himself and the motives that impelled him at some crisis in his life or throughout its course. He may speak in self-justification or in a mood of detached self-explanation, contented, resigned, impenitent, or remorseful. What the author is intent on showing us is the inner man. Sainsbury defines the form in the following manner. He says, "The poet takes a character, an anecdote, sometimes little more than a name, and instead of focusing it from the outside or making it speak in simple dramatic fashion with such passages of ornament as he can give, he shakes it about, dissecting or trying to dissect its soul, analyzing its constituents, folding or unfolding it to get different lights and aspects, but never exactly summing up or giving us the whole." Much of Browning's finest poetry is in the form of dramatic monologue, and he showed an amazing skill in assuming for this purpose the personality of a figure, historical or imaginary, far removed in time and nature from himself. Occasionally, indeed, it was Browning who uttered his own thoughts through the mask, but more often his imagination had captured a whole mentality and outlook he certainly did not share. The method afforded scope to Browning's interest in character without requiring him to introduce action, for which he had little aptitude, though he wrote dramas which were produced on the stage. He raised the dramatic monologue to the rank of a major poetic form by making it the repository of his ripest experience and profoundest reflection. It embodied not only striking revelations of human passions and aspirations, but also valuable passages of ethical teaching, which still make him, for many readers, a potent and inspiring force. No other form could serve quite the same purpose. It is drama, poetry, and philosophy all rolled into one. On the contemporary stage in England, the term dramatic monologue is sometimes used to describe the performance of a scene from a famous novel by an actor dressed as one of the characters in the book, or for the recitation of a stirring or amusing narrative in verse. There are also a few gifted actors and actresses who can appear alone and delight a whole audience with a series of impersonations of various characters. An old soldier recalling bygone days, a peasant woman in church, a lady showing a visitor around her garden, and so on. These two are often called dramatic monologues. So as we read the dramatic monologue, let me sum up the characteristics. The dramatic monologue has a single person who is not the poet himself, utters the entire poem in a specific situation at a critical moment. As in My Last Duchess, the Duke is negotiating with an emissary for a second wife. This person addresses and interacts with one or more other people, but we know of the auditor's presence and what they say and do only from clues in the discourse of the single speaker. The monologue is so organized that its focus is on the temperament and character that the dramatic speaker unintentionally reveals in the course of what he says. Besides Robert Browning and Tennyson, uh, the other writers of the dramatic monologues are Robert Frost, E. A. Robinson, Ezra Pound, Robert Lowell, uh, and other poets of the century. And the best known modern instance is T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock.